Okay, so we're going to continue our coverage over Darkseid War. And in reality, we are going to wrap up our coverage over Darkseid War with the final 3 chapters. Now, we do pick up with Jessica Cruz. Now, remember, around this point in DC Comics, she was not an actual Green Lantern. And what I mean by that is her ring comes from another universe. Earth 3. In that universe, the Lantern Ring was actually an evil ring because inside of it is the soul of Volthoom, the first Lantern ever in DC's multiverse. Now, when it comes to Volthoom, what he does to his hosts is feed them fear, so that he is able to take over their bodies. And so in the earlier chapters, he was actually able to do that. By feeding Jessica enough fear, he was actually able to take over her body. Now, here's the thing, because when we actually do pick up with the character, we see Jessica currently inside some kind of hell. Now, this hell is really more for the people who wore the ring before she did, but all from Earth 3. These were the previous hosts of Power Ring, but they all were killed off once Volthoom was able to take over their bodies, use their bodies, but then once their bodies was basically burned out, they died and he moved on to the next host. And so currently, with her being taken over by Volthoom, her mind and spirit is currently trapped inside this hell. And matter of fact, when she is trying to leave, she is confronted by the evil version of Hal Jordan. Now, when I say the evil version, I don't really mean that, because Hal Jordan in Earth 3 was not technically evil. Matter of fact, he was being forced to be a Green Lantern by Volthoom controlling him by him wearing the ring. Either way, you have him trying to keep Jessica trapped inside this hell because he wants her to also be tortured like he is currently in this hell made by Volthoom. And so then we pick up with Marina Black. Now remember, when it comes to Marina Black, she is the mother of Grail, the daughter of Darkseid. Now here's the thing, because this section right here is really more of Marina telling us that over the years trying to raise Grail, it was a very difficult task because Grail is the daughter of Darkseid. And that's the thing, because with Darkseid being literally pure evil, she was afraid about the idea that trait right there, pure evil, would have been passed on to her daughter. But unfortunately, it was, like everything else. His skin, his omega beams, and other kind of powers that Grail has that she got in from her father. But that's the thing, because Marina still felt like there was still some kind of good in Grail, but the problem was that good was very small. There's more evil than good inside of her. And so Marina realized, okay, I cannot make her become a pure good person, but what I can do is try to channel her energy to take out other evil beings like her father. And so when it came to Marina, she realized her daughter Grail was always going to be evil, but she was hoping to take that evil and use it in a way to take out other evils like Darkseid. But we have to remember that when it comes to Grail, she did kill off Darkseid because she made an alliance with the Anti-Monitor. Now, here's the thing, because the Anti-Monitor and Grail were able to get rid of Darkseid. But the thing is, right after doing that and turning the Anti-Monitor back to normal, Grail was able to possess the anti-life equation. Now remember, the anti-life equation is technically this equation that has the ability to break free will across the board across the DC's multiverse. Now, we have no idea what she is trying to do with the actual anti-life equation, but we have to remember, in the earlier chapters of the series, she kidnapped Steve Trevor. And again, we had no idea why, but now we're beginning to find out what she plans to do with Steve Trevor. And we kind of find out, turn him into a weapon. And the reason why? Because he was the first man to step on Themyscira. And so she believes that he'll become the perfect weapon to be used to defeat the Justice League, but also the other Amazons on Themyscira. Now, here's the thing, because for her to be able to turn him into a weapon, this man is going to need some powers if he is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Justice League or the other Amazons on Themyscira. And so we kind of find out what Grail is planning to do when it comes to the anti-life equation. She's going to give it over to Steve Trevor, because with the anti-life equation, he'll become a very powerful being that should be able to take on the League, should be able to take on the Amazons on Themyscira. This dude is going to be a one-man army. But getting back over to Jessica Cruz, we currently see her trying to escape her hell, this power ring hell. But the problem is though, she is unable to escape. And the reason why? Because of her fear. Because guys, remember, at this point in DC Comics, like I said earlier, Jessica was not your usual Green Lantern. She had her lantern ring that came from Power Ring from Earth 3. And usually, for you to become a Green Lantern in the main DC universe, you have to show a huge amount of willpower. But the thing is, at this point in DC timeline, Jessica has not shown that she has a huge amount of willpower. Matter of fact, she's literally walking around with a huge amount of fear. Now, the reason why? Because she had to watch her friends die in the past. And the thing was, she could not help her friends. She was so scared, she ran away and left her friends to die on their own. And so because of that fear right there, she's never been able to become a true Green Lantern ring, or to be able to conquer or overcome the influence of Power Ring or Volthoom. And so that is why Volthoom was able to easily take over her body by just go ahead and feeding her fear constantly non-stop. And so it looks like she may not be able to escape this hell, except that is the moment you have Cyborg appear. Now, when we jump into the next chapter, we pick up with Lex Luthor arriving back to Earth. Except we have to remember, when Darkseid died, the Omega Energy had to find a new host. And so when it came to a group of people who were trying to free Apocalypse, they chose Lex Luthor as their hero, and they gave him the Omega Energy. And so technically Lex is kind of like the new Darkseid, but not all the way. Either way, he does arrive to Earth, and his main goal is to kill off the Anti-Monitor. But then we get into the weird part. Yes, you heard that right, the weird part. What I mean by that is, we gotta focus on Superwoman, who's currently giving birth. Now remember, Superwoman is the evil version of Wonder Woman from Earth 3, the Crime Syndicate universe. Now, her giving birth is not the weird part. The weird part is her child is going to be used as a weapon. That is the weird part. Oh man. So let me explain. When it came to Superwoman, we found out in, I want to say Forever Evil, that she was pregnant. Now at first, we were left to believe that she was pregnant with Ultraman's son, or child, the evil version of Superman. But then we come to find out in the same storyline that she had cheated on Ultraman with Owlman. Owlman is the evil version of Batman from the Crime Syndicate universe. But then we come to find out that she also cheated on Owlman and Ultraman with another guy. And that was, of course, Mazah, the evil version of Shazam, which I hope I said his name correctly. Man, that was a lot to say. Either way, when it comes to Superwoman, the evil version of Wonder Woman, who is currently giving birth, apparently her baby is the key to stop all this hot mess when it comes to this war. And matter of fact, Grail is going to use the baby as a way to get what she wants. Yes, the baby is going to be used as a weapon. This story is going to go left field so quickly. Now that is the moment where we do jump back over to Jessica and also Cyborg. Now when we do, you currently have Cyborg tell Jessica that before he was shut down by Grid, the evil version of Cyborg from the Crime Syndicate universe, he was able to download his consciousness into the actual ring, the Power Ring. And so currently he's trying to hack into the ring to give Jessica enough time to be able to regain control of her body. And so even though this is technically a hell that was created by Volthoom, it's kind of like a cybernetic hell, an alien tech kind of hell. Either way, it's Cyborg saying, I'm trying to get you back in the driver's seat. And just in case you were wondering how the battle is going between Lex Luthor and the Anti-Monitor, let's just say Lex is enjoying this a whole lot. And when I say a whole lot, Homeboy is loving the idea of beating down on the Anti-Monitor. Literally beating down on the Anti-Monitor. But now, because we are building our way to the actual end of Darkseid War, we do pick up with Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, two other characters who are getting ready to rejoin the battle against the Anti-Monitor. Here's the thing, because Mr. Miracle is really down about the idea of helping out the League, except when it comes to Big Barda, she's not really down with the idea of helping the League. Matter of fact, she has a lot of doubts about them, and she's wondering if they do help out the League, will the League actually repay them and help them back in return? Now, when it comes to Mr. Miracle, he believes the Justice League will actually help them out once they help the League defeat the Anti-Monitor. Except when it comes to Big Barda, she believes the League will not actually help them. And so when you have Mr. Miracle go rejoin the battle against the Anti-Monitor, Big Barda leaves her husband behind. But getting back over to the battle, you do have everyone who's part of the League try their best to work together to fight against the Anti-Monitor. Now, this is just really a way to kind of show how powerful he truly is. As a matter of fact, you have Superman do a solar flare on the Anti-Monitor, but it barely does any kind of damage to him. Now, here's the thing, because once our heroes realize that most of their attacks are technically doing nothing, you have the Flash not even trying at all, because you have to remember, the Flash had bonded with the Black Racer. The Black Racer is technically the avatar of death for the New Gods, and usually when he's around and he's not doing anything at all, it's because he's waiting for somebody to die. Somebody's gonna die very soon, and the Flash, who's now the god of death, is going to take that soul and take that soul over to the afterlife. But the question is right now, who is going to die? And matter of fact, you have the Anti-Monitor begin to beat down Lex Luthor. And so we're left to believe that Lex is going to be the one who is most likely going to die. But like I said earlier, we are going to wrap up our coverage of Darkseid War, which means all the different characters who were part of this event got to come back for this big final battle. And so that is the moment you have Grail arrive, but she does arrive alongside with her mother, Marina Black, but also with Steve Trevor, who's now been fused with the anti-life equation. And so now they have rejoined the battle. But to make things even worse, because like I told you guys earlier, see, this is where the story is about to go completely left field, because Superwoman does give birth. The child is born, and like I told y'all earlier, that child right there is going to be very crucial for the final chapter of this crazy storyline. But then that is the moment where you have Grail introduce Steve Trevor and being infused with the anti-life equation. And with the anti-life equation now being inside Steve Trevor, he has the ability to kill off the Anti-Monitor. And just like that, he does. And so now our heroes know they have one last person to stop, and that would be Grail, who is currently using Steve Trevor as a weapon against him. Well, they also got to stop the crime syndicate, because apparently the baby of Superwoman is going to be very important for the last chapter. And so getting into the final chapter, the opening pages of this book is really more of our heroes just trying to stop Grail and also Steve Trevor. And the thing is, Grail and Steve Trevor are capable of taking on the entire League. Even Lex Luthor, who also has the Omega energy inside of him, is having a hard time stopping just Steve Trevor. Now, here's the thing, because the reason why Steve Trevor cannot control himself and trying to kill off the League is because with the anti-life equation inside of him, again, when it comes to the anti-life equation, it's all about the idea of breaking somebody's willpower. taking away their free will. And so when it comes to Steve Trevor, he lost that free will. The anti-life equation wants to destroy everything in its path. And so with that being said, when it comes to Steve Trevor, even though he does not want to kill Diana or Clark or Lex or really anybody else in the league, he cannot control himself. Now, Flash is not going to join in the battle. And the reason why, because Flash is fused with the Black Racer, the Avatar of Death. And so the entire fight, Homeboy is just standing there watching heroes fight against the bad guys, waiting for somebody to possibly die. But then we have to get into the baby situation. And when it comes to the child of Superwoman and Massa, it has the ability to take other gods' powers away. So for example, Lex Luthor, who is currently known as the God of Apocalypse because he has the Omega energy inside of him. But with that power being inside of him, well, you have Superwoman use her child abilities on Lex Luthor to take away his powers. Just like that, Lex is back to his old self again. But then you didn't have Grail kill off Superwoman so that she is able to use the child for her own personal needs. And so then she used the abilities of the child on the Black Racer and Flash. Because remember, currently Flash is fused with the Black Racer and he is now known as the God of Death. But when she does use the powers of the baby on the Flash, it does not kill off the Flash or absorb the powers of the Black Racer. It separates the two characters again. So now Flash is no longer connected to the Black Racer, but the Black Racer is not going to leave until somebody dies. And so currently right now, the Black Racer wants to kill off the Flash. But let's not forget that Jessica Cruz is trying to regain control of her body. And so while she is trying to do that, Cyborg is trying his best to get her back into the driver's seat of her body. Now, here comes, I would say it'd be a sad moment, but unfortunately, it's not going to be a real sad moment. And what I mean by that is, while you have Cyborg trying to put Jessica back in the driver's seat of her own body, once he's able to do that and she's able to regain control of her body, well, that is the moment where the Black Racer is about to kill off the Flash, except you have Jessica appear and step right in front of the Black Racer, which of course the Black Racer does kill off Jessica Cruz. And so we're left to believe that she's now currently dead. And so with her death, you have the League get very upset about the idea of one of their own being killed off. Now, Lex Luthor's kind of like, no, I don't really care because she was not really a true Green Lantern, but the rest of the League looked at her still like a member of their team, a member of their family. And they're kind of like, one of our own just got killed off by the Black Racer because of this stupid war. It's time for us to finally take down Grail once and for all. But here comes another plot twist. This plot twist is going to be about Steve Trevor. See, remember, Grail turned Steve into a weapon, and the reason why, because she believed that he was the first man on Themyscira, and to use him as a weapon against Diana, Wonder Woman. To kind of find out, that is not actually true. What I mean by that is, Steve Trevor was not the first man on Themyscira. Somebody else was, but we have no idea who it is because Marina, the mother of Grail, says there was somebody else, but I can't tell you right now. But as soon as Grail finds out, she used the powers of the baby to take away the anti-life equation away from Steve and put that equation inside the baby. But then she was actually able to bring back Darkseid. The baby that was the child of Superwoman had just been turned into Darkseid. Oh, it gets even better because Grail is able to control Darkseid, a new powerful Darkseid. And now she tells her new father, or new version of Darkseid, to basically kill off the League. And so then we jump over to Batman trying to find a way to stop Darkseid, but to also stop Grail as well. But here comes the big problem though, because currently Batman is sitting in the Mobius chair. And remember, the Mobius chair was created by the Anti-Monitor, but the chair has the knowledge of everything in DC's multiverse. But the thing is, for Batman to find a way to defeat Darkseid, to defeat Grail as well, he has to dig very deep into the knowledge of the chair to hopefully find a way to stop both our bad guys here. But the thing is, as he digs deeper, the more energy is being drained from him. And so you have Hal realize it's time for Bruce to get off the chair. And so he gives Bruce his Green Lantern ring, which of course gives Bruce enough willpower to get off the chair. Now, even though Hal did save Bruce's life, Hal was also hoping that before Bruce got off the chair, he was able to find the answers he needed to stop Darkseid and also stop Grail, his daughter. But then out of nowhere, that is the moment where you have Big Barda appear. Now, when Big Barda appears, she's all like, hey, I brought some help. And we come to find out she had rejoined forces with Darkseid's army. But that's the problem though, because her and her husband, Mr. Miracle, they left Darkseid's army. They wanted nothing to do with Apocalypse at all. But unfortunately, she had no choice but to rejoin with them to hopefully use them as a way to take down Darkseid, but to also take down Grail as well, especially Grail. Now, this is the moment where you have Marina Black realize that what she has done to her daughter was incorrect. And what I mean by that is she realized that trying to take something that's technically pure evil, like her father, was a bad idea to use against other evil people. Because even though they do conquer other evil people, they're still technically evil and want to do more evil things. And so this is her realizing that there's no other choice for her but to hopefully stop her daughter, or to kind of give her daughter a different angle to look at and kind of like, look, evil is not the right way to go. But Marina knows what can actually help her daughter out a lot. And what she says is that a lot of times when it came to Grail, anytime she kind of hit that point where she's just pure evil, she had to release all that negative energy inside of her by trying to use her Omega energy. And so once you have Diana, Wonder Woman, and also Marina being able to kind of calm down Grail to a certain point, she tells her daughter, release that energy out of you. Release all that hatred inside of you, all that negativity inside of you, and release it through me. And so you have Grail just go ahead and release her entire Omega energy straight through her mother. So Marina is officially dead, but that energy continues on and hits Darkseid as well. And so it looks like Grail was able to kill off both Darkseid, her father, and Marina Black, her mother, killing off both of her parents. Now, after a couple panels of, basically the war being over, everybody can calm down now because Grail is technically just stopped. Marina's dead. Also, most of the crime syndicate is dead or had disappeared, and Darkseid is also gone. We kind of find out that Jessica Cruz is technically not dead. See, when it came to the Black Racer, he did take a soul. The soul he took was not Jessica Cruz, but somebody else, most likely Volthoom. Either way, you didn't have another Green Lantern ring from this time, the main DC universe, fly over and make her an actual Green Lantern this time and bring her back to life or wake her up. Either way, she's now officially a Green Lantern in DC Comics. Now, when it comes to Hal, he's kind of like, what the heck? Because at this point in time, I want to say there was already 5 Green Lanterns, because you had Hal, you had John, you had Guy, you had Kyle. I want to say Simon was there as well too, but yeah, now you have Jessica, and now makes 6 Green Lanterns on Earth. Either way, she's now a Green Lantern. We did get a page that is literally dedicated to the idea to say, Grail got away, but Grail also took Darkseid, because Darkseid was not technically killed off by his daughter, he was just turned back into a baby. So now she has to raise baby Darkseid. Now we do get a couple pages that really does focus more on Lex Luthor and Superman. And what I mean by that is you have Lex going back over to Apocalypse, because remember, in the earlier chapters of Darkseid War, he was able to gain the title God of Apocalypse because he was given the Omega energy. But the thing is, even though he lost the Omega energy, his goal is still to become the ruler of Apocalypse. And so he went back over there and tried to help that small group of people who were technically slaves of Apocalypse become completely free. And so his goal is to liberate Apocalypse from the forces of Darkseid that's still out there. Now, on the other end, we have to focus on Clark Kent as well, because this storyline and also the whole Truth Arc storyline that we had covered before this one was all leading into the idea of Superman dying, because thanks to the solar energy of Apocalypse being part of his body, it was killing off his cells. But also in the Vandal Savage arc as well, thanks to the kryptonite poisoning, it was also killing off his cells, to the point where this is the moment you have someone tell Clark, you are officially dying. And it leads into the last days of Superman. But getting over to the Batcave, we pick up with Batman and Green Lantern, where you have the two characters currently talking about the idea of the Mobius chair. Now, really, you have Hal realize, or really remember, that Bruce did ask the chair about the true identity of the Joker, because by this point in DC Comics, no one knew the actual origin of the Joker, his actual name. And so this was Batman wondering, okay, what is the real name of the Joker? Except when the chair showed him the real name of the Joker, it also gave him extra information. And that extra information was that there's not just one Joker, not just two Jokers, there were three Jokers. But then we have to jump over to Diana, Wonder Woman. And she remembers what Marina Black told her, but technically we did not hear or get to see as the readers. Because right after Grail had technically killed her mother, well, gave her a fatal wound, before she had died off, she told Diana, yes, what I said earlier is true. Steve Trevor was not the first man on Themyscira. There was somebody else. And that other person was your brother, Diana. You are a twin. You have a twin brother and his name is Jason. He was the first man on Themyscira, but he was sent away. You have to go out there and find your brother. But then the last couple pages really do focus on Owlman now sitting in the Mobius chair. And remember, Owlman is the evil version of Batman from the Crime Syndicate universe. But he feels like he is a better Batman, a smarter Batman, and he'll be able to actually control the chair better than Batman did. Now that's the moment where you actually have Metron appear. And when he appears, he does tell Owlman, listen, the chair is a very powerful weapon. It is not something that can be easily controlled. But before you have the two men able to continue to talk to one another, something else appears, blowing up both Owlman and Metron just like that. And we're left to wonder who it could have possibly be. Now, with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.